As someone in need of a fix of fighting game action, and with WWE 2K22 now 6 months away, I decided to try out Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions, which is an arcade title based on the Rocky and Creed films. The game features a total of 20 characters, with popular names from the film franchise such as Rocky Balboa, Apollo Creed and Clubber Lang, with a handful of new characters also thrown into the mix such as Luke O'Grady. Of the 20 characters, 10 fighters are available to play from the get-go, with the additional 10 able to be unlocked by playing through the game's arcade mode or by completing unlock challenges within the game's versus mode. In terms of game modes, there's not a lot on offer, as outside the regular versus mode, which allows you to play an exhibition fight, the only other game mode offered is arcade mode, which also doubles as a story mode. In arcade mode, players are tasked with taking control of one of the game's characters and then facing off in a series of matchups against a variety of opponents, with the story being told via on-screen text. Whilst the decision to go with text-based storytelling rather than cutscenes isn't great, the text does do a good job of building each character's backstory and highlighting the difference in personalities. However, I can't help but feel it was a little bit underwhelming. At the end of each campaign, players will face off against the chosen player's main rival, which upon defeating them will then see that character unlocked, as well as a series of alternate outfits for the chosen player. Some of the main positives that I took away from arcade mode were that a lot of the fights take on a different feel due to the strengths and the weaknesses of each character, with some opponents that I struggled against as one player were a lot easier when playing as another due to the difference in power, the speed and the overall moveset of the character. This meant that each bout had me trying out different strategies to see what worked best, which was a good way to ensure that players make use of a character's moveset rather than spamming the same button combinations for every single player. On top of this, the game's difficulty setting can be pretty challenging even on the lowest setting, as the AI can be relentless in its attack, which again forces the player to change strategy. Another positive that I found were the training mini-games that were spliced in between certain bouts, as whilst the mini-games were the same, I did find them to be a good way to break up the repetitiveness of playing match after match, and it becomes somewhat of a challenge to try and get a perfect score. However, the downside is that the game doesn't record any of the scores that you get. Going back to unlockables, one thing I did like was that each of the requirements to unlock characters were nice and clear, as the selection screen notes which characters that you have to play as to unlock a specific character. Moving on to the gameplay, the game is very much a button basher that relies on the player making use of combos and timing the strikes and the counters, with the game listing all of the available combos and special moves in the pause menu. Alongside the combos and the more powerful attacks, each character also has their own special move, which can be triggered by filling the special meter, with this move seeing the player launch into a devastating special combo that deals a hell of a lot of damage. When performing your special move, one thing that you need to pay attention to is the time that you use it, as using it at the wrong time when an opponent is performing a block or whilst they're mid-dodge you'll see the move fail. Plus you also want to make sure that your opponent doesn't have a special of their own stored when you decide to use yours, as it's possible to counter one special with another special if you tap the finisher button. As for anything else, outside of versus mode and arcade mode, the only other option available is training, which sees the player placed into an endless training bout where they're free to try out combos and special attacks against an uncontrolled opponent. Whilst the training section can be pretty useful to work on combos, personally I found it to be quite lacking, as I went into it expecting to learn the ropes and how to counter moves. However, it's essentially just playing a two-player match without anyone controlling the second controller. Overall, despite the lack of features, I did find the game to be a decent arcade title, at least in the short term, but I don't think there's much here to keep you coming back to the game after you finish playing through arcade mode and unlocking the extra characters, as there's no online play or any online leaderboards, so unless you have a few friends coming round and you want a game that you can all pick up and play, then I don't see the game offering too much in terms of replayability. On the other hand though, if you are a boxing fan and you just want a game that you can pick up and play, and you're happy with an arcade title where you can throw some hands, then this is very much boxing's answer to WWE Battlegrounds. So that's my thoughts on Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions. If you played the game or you're thinking of picking it up, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, have yourself an awesome day, and I'll catch you later.